Today we're going to create an artwork, a fall artwork, inspired by Damien Hirst and using Zentangle design and a color scheme. Damien Hirst is a contemporary British artist. He liked to create patterns in his work, and he used found objects to create his artworks. He's known for his spin art painting and also created some really cool stuff in the COVID painting. We're going to be inspired by his color scheme with value scale and his design. So let's get started on this project. You'll need a sketchbook, some color pencils, a pencil, Sharpie, and or a marker, either one, Sharpie or this, or we could use a pencil. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with some Zentangle designs. So I have some sheets here, and at any point in time, you can pause and come back here. In our sketchbook, we are going to create 9 different Zentangle designs, kind of spacing them out. And you can decide whether you want to try one from this sheet or from this sheet, or you can make your own. A Zentangle design is a repetition of the same pattern over and over again. So I'm going to put these to the side, but if you want to at this point in time, you can watch me and then I'll bring these back out and you can hit pause and then do your 9 designs. Okay. So I'm going to pick some, and I'm going to start with a pencil, and then I will go over my lines later on. And I'm just going to kind of do them. I might make 9 squares just to make it easier for me. And they don't have to be perfect squares. I'm just going to do them on my sketchbook, and you can follow along with me. And remember, you can do your own designs, or you can think of them yourself, or you can do them from the worksheet. So my first design, I'm going to do this triangular pattern. Then I'm going to come in here and repeat. And Zentangle is known for repeating the patterns. And I'm going to fill this whole square with this pattern. And it's supposed to be kind of similar, but again, if it's not perfect, my lines aren't exactly perfect. And I'm filling that square. Now I might try something different. Filling my square in and repeating that Zentangle pattern. So at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead with my pencil and fill in all the other squares. And I'm going to put these sheets out for you right now. So you can hit pause on your screen and then go ahead and fill in your 9 squares. When we come back, all my 9 squares are going to be filled in. And time I created my 9 Zentangle designs. All right, now the next step is you can use a Sharpie marker or a black marker. These are what I prefer. If you don't have these, you can use a dark color pencil. You want the thin line. A crayon is kind of hard unless it has a thin tip. You can also use a skinny black marker too. So marker is the preference. It doesn't matter which one you use. The one thing I do want to say is a Sharpie normally will stain your clothes, so you got to be very careful, and it will bleed through your paper. So make sure you're not on top of a table because you don't want to get the table messy. And when you're doing this too, if it bleeds to the next page, that's okay. Or you can put something to protect underneath. Or the last thing is just draw it lightly. So now you're going to go over. So I'm not pushing hard. So this will bleed through the page, but not onto my other page. And I'll show you in a second that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go over all my lines with my Sharpie or your marker, whichever you have. And then I'm going to erase all my pencil lines afterwards. So you can see I'm going over each and every one the best I can. And notice I'm not perfect. I'm not really getting all the lines. I'm doing the best I can. But when I erase the pencil lines, we will not see them anymore. And if you take a quick peek, notice it didn't bleed on here. It did go to the back of the paper, but not on here. So at this point in time, I'd like you to hit pause on your screen and go ahead and outline each and every one of these. And remember, one other thing is we're outlining, but if you wanted to, now, do it lightly because you don't want it to bleed through your pages. You could fill in some parts if you want to fill them in more solid black, or you can leave them like this where they're just lines and they're less solid black. So I could also go in here and color in the dots, or maybe I can just color in this whole background black. But again, when you color in, just note that it might bleed through your paper, but don't get upset. Just make sure you have something behind it so it doesn't go on a table. Markers, it is kind of helpful because if I wanted to come in and make some of these lines solid, I can put it on its side and get a nice broad band with the black marker. So maybe using a combination of the Sharpie and the other ones. And now I can go on the tip and get the fine tip. And this color fills in perfectly. So if you don't have a Sharpie and this is all you have, this is perfect too, okay? So go ahead now and I'm going to hit pause again and you're going to go ahead and color yours in all black. Designs, did you remember to erase all those pencil marks out in between? Okay, now we can use this as a reference for our next project. All right, so let's go ahead and flip to the next clean page. And this is going to be our tree project. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we need to make our horizon line. That's where the sky meets the ground, and we're going to do it low towards the bottom. So what I want you to do is put your finger at the bottom, this little finger here, and go from your knuckle here to the bottom of the page to the tip, and then make a little mark. Now we're going to take our pencil and we're just going to lightly draw it straight across because we might have to erase in the middle when we're making our tree. Now we have our horizon line. So we're going to start making our tree and we'll try to do it about the length of your hand to start for the tree trunk. Well, maybe it'll be about 2 fingers. So 1, 2 fingers long. So if I was going to do 2 fingers. So let's first start with the base. I think that's the easiest thing. Let's go to the middle of our paper and to the middle of this bottom section. And I'm going to use 4 fingers. I'm going to put 4 fingers down. And I'm going to put a little dot on this side and a dot on this side. So about 4 or 5 fingers on the bottom. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do about 2 fingers high. 1, 2. And I'm going to put a dot up in the air here and just kind of like a dot over here. We actually want it to be bigger here and get a little bit smaller. It doesn't have to be very smaller, just a little bit. So now what we're going to do is try to draw a straight line. If you have a ruler, you're welcome to use a ruler, but these do not have to be perfect lines. So this is the base of our tree and we're going to draw across like this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw 4 different branches that go into the sky and off, and we're going to make the branches have little mini branches that come off. So we're going to do our Y branch. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to come down a little bit like this. And then I'm going to Y, which I'm going to do this arm off to the edge of my paper here. And then I'm going to go in right about here, a little bit above, like a finger's width above. Start big and get a little skinnier. See, started big and got a little skinnier. And then we're going to Y off to the end of the page. Now, if you look at it this way, kind of looks like the letter Y. So we're going to start here and then get skinnier off the page. So it almost comes to a point. Start here and then get skinnier off the page. So now it really looks like a bubble letter Y. Okay. Now we're going to do 1 branch here, 1 here, and 1 here. And it's important that we go off the page because in these little spaces is where we're going to do our Zentangle designs. So now I'm going to come here, I'm going to go up. Then I'm going to Y off the page here. I'm going to start a little thicker and then get thinner, skinnier in, and then Y off the page. Now remember, if I'm going too quick for you, this is great. You can always hit pause on your screen. So now I'm going to do, it's like a letter V inside. I'm going to start here and then get thinner. Start here and get thinner. All right, now we're going to go up here. Maybe I'm going to Y off the page this way. And maybe I'm going to start down here and go out to the side. Okay, now we got 1 more branch. And I'm going to go into this one. And that's okay, you can do that. And I'm going to go out to the side here. Realize this is a big space. This is going to be a lot of Zentangle design. So your tree might not look like mine. Maybe you wanted to bring your branch down low. I draw this differently every single time. So we're going to go down here and erase this line because we don't need it anymore. This horizon line would have went behind our tree. So you don't need to see that anymore. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go and outline our tree before we do our Zentangle design to make sure our tree stands out and we don't lose our tree. So you can get your marker. We're going to go ahead on these lines. I'm going to outline our tree. And I kind of messed up, but that's a beautiful oops. It's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're trying the best we can here. And then after we outline all our lines, you're going to go in with your pencil and erase any of those pencil marks that you see. All right, so at this point in time, I'm going to keep out my Zentangle design sheet so you can see, but you're going to start putting your Zentangle designs in here. We're not going to do it to the ground and we're not going to do it inside the tree, but we're going to do our Zentangle designs in the background. So I'm going to put some of those sheets back up. And if you would like, you can hit pause at this time and start doing your Zentangle designs in the background. I'm going to actually show you really quick, so don't hit pause yet. So let me go ahead and move these and I'll do one more time. So I'm going to start, I can use the patterns that we did just before, or I could try some of my own. And you really want to start with pencil because I know you get really upset if you accidentally messed up. So I'm going to start with my pencil. I'm drawing those Zentangle designs and it could be the ones you made before, or you can try some different ones. Okay, so I've got one in there. Doing one in here, going to each one of these. Each one of these spaces, remember, do not do the ground and do not do inside the tree. So at this point in time, I'll put these sheets back. You can hit pause and you can either do ones from here, ones from your imagination, or ones that you drew before. Go ahead and fill in all those background spaces behind the tree. When we come back, mine will be finished. Single pencil design in the background. I already started the next step. We're actually going to go ahead and outline these because we really want to emphasize our Zentangle design. So I'm going to go with my marker and outline all these different little designs. And then when I'm done, I'm going to use my pencil to erase the pencil lines. So you can see I'm going into each one and going over those Zentangle designs. Now for this next part, after this, we're going to do some color scheme and talk about the color wheel and different color schemes and decide how you are going to color in your background today. All right, so I'm going to hit pause, and when you hit pause, when I come back, all this will be outlined and I'll have my pencil lines erased. So go ahead and finish up going over all your lines, hit pause, and then when I come back, this will be finished. Line outlined. Just going to erase some of those pencil lines. Okay, and now I can start thinking about how I'm going to color this in. All right, so one thing we're going to talk about is a value scale, and our practice can actually be on the bottom. And that's when you push a pencil hard and then bring it up softer. So why don't you grab for the ground a green color pencil. And so along this line here, I want you to take your pencil, put it on its side, and I want you to push a little bit hard. So you get a nice solid green color and bring it down to about that much, almost to the base of the trunk. Pushing it nice and hard on both sides. The nice back and forth stroke. I like again to put the pencil down on its side. And then we're just going to go now do it a little bit lighter. So notice you can see the color green is changing colors almost. And it's the same pencil, but we're getting a little lighter, adding a different value. Okay, and now I'm almost doing nothing. So there's nothing left on the bottom. So it's really, really light on the very, very bottom. Okay, and you can kind of see the different value tones, and you can go back and kind of help it so it looks like it's a nice little blend from dark to medium to light. All right, now let's think about how are we going to color the background. Now it is fall, so maybe you want to choose your warm tones. Our warm tones can sometimes be a warm green, but they're normally this side of my color wheel, which is my yellow, orange, and red, and sometimes a little bit of pink red or yellow green. So maybe you want to do all the background in these fall colors and the warm colors. Or you could do the cool colors, which is this side of my color wheel, which is normally green and blue and violet or sometimes purple. And you can do the cool colors. Or like Damien Hirst, he wanted to do a rainbow of colors. He wanted to do them all in the background. So you can decide whether you want to do cool or warm, or a rainbow of colors. Okay, so we're going to use what we practiced down here as we're going in here. And each section we want to make a different color, but we want to make sure that we're trying to push hard and soft. So watch, this is a good example of how there's all these little dots. This is going to take me forever. So watch what I can do. Very lightly, I'm going to shade the whole thing, going over all those dots with a light red in the background. Now you choose whatever color you like. I think I'm going to do a rainbow actually this time. So I'm going to lightly go ahead and do, and if you have a different color scheme, you can go ahead and do that too. I'm going to do red in the background, and then I'm going to decide, and it's very light, I know you can't really see it that well. Then inside I'm going to push harder for my circles. And you can see I'm getting like 2 color schemes. And we want to do each one in one color, which is called a monochromatic color scheme. But by pushing it harder and softer and getting a value scale, it can show like different colors of that one color you chose. So each section is just going to be one color, but you're going to try to push and pull. So after red, I'm going to do orange here. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe do some dark and then light, and then dark and then light. I know this one's hard to see because it's so small. And remember, we're not going inside the tree. So after red, I might do yellow. And my yellow is kind of hard to see, so I actually might mix in some orange with this. So I'm going to do it light first. And again, I'm going really quick, so I'm going to pause here in just a minute and let you guys get caught up. So don't worry if you're like, I'm really far behind and I can't get this. I'll give you time to pause. And maybe in between every other one, I'm going to push a little harder. And like I said, if you find that your yellow, you can't really see a difference, you can take some of your orange and very lightly on those darker ones, make it like a yellow orange. But don't do too much orange because we want it to showcase the yellow color or whatever color you're doing. So you can lightly add some color to it so it looks like a yellow orange, and that popped up the color. All right, so maybe my next section is green. I actually have 2 greens, so maybe I'm going to do this dark and the inside a little bit lighter. And if I wanted to make it like a yellow green, again, you can add some different colors in it, but just make sure that green is still the showcase of it. All right, so now what I want you to do is go into each section and give it a color. And when I come back, mine will be fully colored. Okay, and just remember in each section, it's one color. And think about what color you're going to do just in these background sections. All right, so hit pause and go ahead and start. And you can see I finished up my colors. I had some issues because up here, I didn't have a pink. So I actually combined red with purple to make some of that look like pink. I could have done something different, but now we are finished. And you can see we have these beautiful Zentangle designs, and we used a nice, good rainbow color scheme. And we used our value scale by pushing and pulling the color pencils. All right, thanks guys. Make sure you bring this next class to show the teacher, and I hope you had fun. Bye.